and this is America's Vote 2024. With Donald Trump winning the New Hampshire primary, the likelihood now of a Trump-Biden rematch has significantly increased. But polls are suggesting that most Americans do not want to see a rematch between Trump and Biden like happened in 2020. And a Decision Desk HQ News Nation poll found that 59% of Americans are not enthusiastic about a Biden-Trump rematch at all. And while a Biden-Trump showdown might seem inevitable, it is still unknown whether a viable alternative choice will shake up the dynamics of the 2024 race. No Labels is a bipartisan ballot access group that has been floating this idea of what they describe as a so-called unity ticket. But they've also faced intense scrutiny, particularly from Democrats, who are saying that should they get into the race with a unity ticket, that it would all but ensure a Trump re-election. Joining me now is Joe Cunningham. He is the head of No Labels. Joe, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Of course, but bottom line, after the results of last night, Trump winning New Hampshire, is No Labels more or less likely to run a unity ticket in 2024?
Well, I would say more because, we've been very straightforward this entire time that if America wants another choice, we're going to offer it to them. And that's why we've been working hard to secure ballot access across the country. We're on 14 states and building every single week. And we're going to wait till after Super Tuesday when we know what these presumptive nominees look like. And if America still wants another choice, we're going to offer that ballot line to them.
So you're in 14 states now. Do you have plans to get into additional states? And why not go to all 50?
Absolutely. And we have a plan and a program to get on the ballot in all 50 states, plus Washington, D.C. And so we're looking at Super Tuesday as the moment as to when we have an idea who the nominees will be from the major parties. And that will give us an idea whether or not America wants another choice. And the numbers you put up there, I've seen numbers even higher where 2/3 of America wants another option besides these two presumptive nominees.
All right, so you say you're more likely to run after the results of New Hampshire, and yet everybody wants to know who. And I've heard everybody from former Governor of Maryland Larry Hogan to others like Senator Joe Manchin. Would Nikki Haley be on that list?
Look, we've obviously been talking to a lot of people. We have not made that decision yet. We want to take our time and make sure we get this right. That's what's most important. And we would only be nominating a ticket if it has a pathway to victory. So, unfortunately, I don't have a name here to share with you today. We're going to, put our heads down, work extremely hard to secure that ballot access, and if America wants another choice, give it to them.
So I understand that you don't want to say any names, but Nikki Haley specifically, because that's the biggest unknown right now. She's staying in this race. Would she be a strong No Labels ticket at the top or vice president?
Senator Lieberman extended warm wishes and accolades to Nikki Haley. I applaud anybody who's jumping in the race to give America options. Anybody who's trying to bridge this partisan divide. I think that's been the ethos from No Labels. You know all about this group. It's been around for 14 years, been trying to bridge that partisan divide. So, my hat's off to folks who are jumping in and trying to give America choices.
See, but this is what I find interesting, though, specifically about Nikki Haley. Are there sore loser laws, as they're being described, and even some folks have even quoted the Constitution that would prevent her from being able to run on the No Labels ticket? Is your organization looking into that? What path would that need to go to? Would that go to the Supreme Court? Are you all preparing a legal strategy?
It's a lot of questions.
I mean, but this is the one that I get asked the most.
Yeah, these are all pointed, good questions, all of which we've given enormous consideration to. We've been at this for over a year and a half. The thing about the United States of America, you have 50 different laboratories of democracy. So the ability to get on the ballot in one particular state differs from state to state. So does the ability to pull off the ballot. So you have to look at your pathway to victory and whether or not these sore loser laws, which I believe apply, in some states to the presidency, not necessarily the vice presidency. But again, these are things that attorneys look at, our group looks at. We're not going to do this half prepared here. We want to nominate a ticket that can withstand any type of scrutiny and that would be able to win.
Well, you guys have faced scrutiny. And in fact, one of your donors has filed a lawsuit. And in response to that, on a separate front, you all have announced that you've actually filed a complaint with the Department of Justice for voter intimidation. Is this the same type of legal chaos, quite honestly, that Americans are sick and tired of from Trump world and Biden world?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. I think this is something that the tax that No Labels has gotten sends the message that there is a concerted effort to prevent Americans from having a third choice in 2024. And there are certain people from my party who, and I reject their notion that in order to save democracy, we must first destroy it. The right to access the ballot is as protected and as essential as the right to vote. And so if they come after the ballot access, the right to vote is inevitably next. And so I reject that. We are exercising our First Amendment right to access the ballot. Now, look, if and when a campaign is launched, then they can go after the candidates. All is fair. They can entangle with whoever. We're not running a campaign. We're a ballot access group. And I think one of the reasons why people, certain groups and DC insiders particularly, because you get outside DC, this idea is a home run. Talk to folks. When I go back to Charleston tonight, and when I talk to my neighbors or friends, family, everybody loves this idea.
But I have to push back because essentially you've got the Supreme Court of the United States, Joe, likely going to have to run, or to rule rather, whether or not the former president of the United States can be the standard bearer of the Republican Party. I mean, let's just be blunt about it. The courts are going to have to make that decision. Okay, and then you've got a plethora of indictments and court cases, all following Trump. Likewise, when I talk to critics of President Biden, they look at his son, they look at all the legalities going on around there. And then when I'm covering No Labels, I'm starting to see all of this continued chaos. And so how do you run as cleaning up chaos and a unity ticket when, quite honestly, the argument is a little bit muddled now because you're in the mix?
Well, hold on, Kevin. We're not the one launching. Other people and other groups are attacking our efforts to gain ballot access. So we're not the one who are trying to block people from getting on the ballot. We're not the ones who have stopped Dean Phillips from getting on the ballot or who've removed Trump from the ballot. What we're doing is trying to provide Americans with another option. So I think that's, so important to note. And so that we don't get lumped in with these other groups who are trying to undermine an access to the ballot.
So the whole point of No Labels is a unity ticket, bipartisanship, this feeling of bipartisan. Now, I was looking at the policy before it came on air, and you look at something like the Abraham Accords, bipartisan from the Trump administration. You look at the CHIPS Act, the Chips and Science Act, for high-tech manufacturing that the bipartisan coalition was able to put forth on behalf of President Biden. I have sources in both camps, Joe, who are telling me, well, why isn't that bipartisan enough for No Labels? So why isn't their bipartisan enough?
I think you have to get outside of D.C. to understand that those numbers that you put up on the screen are real. The majority of Americans are not happy with these presumptive nominees, and they want another choice. And the fact is, there are no crowns in our democracy. We don't just anoint, for the establishment to say, here are your two choices. We know you're not happy with these choices, but they're the only choices you get anyways.
I put this question to Senator Joe Manchin last year. I still have this question. How would this work? You've got one party as the commander-in-chief and the other party in the vice president. I mean, how would that work? How would that function?
Let me just give you an example. Well, let me say that No Labels was instrumental in setting up the Problem Solvers Caucus, a group that I was a member of, where you had Democrats and Republicans in the same room together. That's key, right? You got to get people at a table together. And in D.C., this on the Hill, it's rare. It's rare. There aren't many places that have that. So to be able to put people in the room who may not agree on everything, so long as they're putting their country ahead of their party, I think is instrumental. And when you think about government shutdown, when you think about the debt ceiling, all these things and you've seen this, like they wait till the last minute to try to negotiate a deal. And on our TV screens, we have the countdown to the shutdown. Imagine if you had a bipartisan administration where no matter who's in control of the House or the Senate, there was a direct line of communication between that speaker or that leader and the administration.
I want to drill down. You've said you're more likely after the results of New Hampshire to run a ticket. You've also said that you're expanding access into additional ballot access into additional states, and that you're going to make that announcement or decision after Super Tuesday. So after Super Tuesday, How do you decide which party is at the top of the ticket? Is it a Republican? Because quite honestly, you look at Nikki Haley and you've got like 40%, some polls I was looking at, of the Republican Party is not behind Donald Trump. Is that the top of the ticket, or how are you all calculating which party gets to be the top of the ticket?
Our North Star would be putting forward a ticket that has the highest chance of success, the highest chance of winning. So whatever that ticket looks like. And let me just say this for your viewers, and this is probably the most important thing that I'll say. In a competitive three-way race, the reason why a third party has a chance at success is because the bar is lowered from, in our minds, we think you got to get over 50% to win an election. In a competitive three-way race, that bar is lowered down through the 40s and into the 30s. So in a competitive three-way race, a candidate, every state in America, with the exception of 2 states, awards all their electoral votes to the candidate who wins the most number of votes. Biggest slice of the pie wins. So meaning, in a state like Texas or Georgia or South Carolina, you can win all those electoral votes with as little as 34% in a competitive three-way race. That's something people need to grab hold of and understand that that's what gives us this opening.
So specifically, though, to qualify for a presidential debate, you'd have to reach a 15 percentage point threshold. Is that something that's going to factor into the decision for whether or not you guys would run a unity ticket to qualify for the debates? When you have Trump and Biden, there's open rumblings that they won't even participate in the debate. Trump hasn't even participated in a primary debate.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things that keep me up at night, mainly my 4-month-old baby boy, but the ability to make it on a debate stage with a ticket like this is not something I'm overly concerned about. I think this is something, if you look at the polls, you listen to what America wants, they are craving this right now with the hyper-partisanship. And, I think if and when this is launched, I think it's going to take off like a rocket.
So specifically with this idea of a convention, which I'm gathering is going to be virtual. Some sources have told me will be a virtual convention and not an in-person convention. But how does that even work? Who's voting for the nominees? Who's nominating the process? I think if people want transparency, they deserve to know who exactly is picking the so-called unity ticket. And when are you all going to release that?
And I understand that, look, there's a lot of excitement about what this ticket's going to look like. And I think that feeds into Americans' desire for another option. And, while we're hashing out those details, we're going to release those when we're ready to. But right now, we're focused on securing the ballot and, as many states as possible, that pathway to 50 states. And by Super Tuesday, take a look at it and then offer that ticket line.
What's the path for a no labels victory? Which are the states that you guys would have to win?
Well, we have a map,
yeah,
and happy to provide that to you so you can put it up there. But we've calculated, what states that there's a pathway in, which states would be more difficult. There are stretch states where anything is. So much of this is going to also depend upon what the ticket looks like, right? Because we have polling, we have data, similar to the numbers that you put up, showing that this is something America wants. Once you put names on a ballot, obviously you can take more or less from a particular side. And so ultimately that's going to decide.
There's a poll out today that found that RFK is actually hurting Biden and helping Trump. What impact is RFK having on this? Because he's polling at such a threshold that, quite honestly, it wouldn't just be a 3-person race, it would be a 4-person race. And the fact that he would take away certain
I can't speak for RFK or his camp. I know they're on the ballot in one state, and we're focused on getting ballot access. Like I said, we're on 14 right now and building. We've been working on this for a year and a half, Kevin, and it's very challenging work, but it's very rewarding too because you give Americans another option. Ultimately, though, it's just going to depend upon the candidates.
Which would be worse, President Biden re-election or President Trump re-election?
I served in Congress, and that I voted to impeach Trump. So, what do you think? I absolutely, I would not be taking part in anything that would be helping put Trump back into the White House.
So, will you run a ticket if it spoils the race for Biden and re-elects Trump?
No, absolutely not. We've said from the get-go that the only reason we'd be putting forth a ticket would be to win. And if it looked like it's spoiling the election, then backing off. And you got to take a look at, like I said, the makeup of this group. You know this. No Labels has been around for 14 years. This isn't some half-cocked theory here that we're working off of. This is very thoughtful. We have national leaders. People have given this a lot of thought. And, we're doing this to protect our democracy.
Joe Cunningham, the head of No Labels. What's harder, taking the hits for being a No Labels or being a new dad?
I'm strong enough to carry either. You know, they're both really rewarding though in their own respective ways.
All right, we'll come back here when you have some more, when you want to tell us who the ticket is.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Joe Cunningham, head of Name Labels. And that's it for today's segment with regards to America's Vote 2024. I'm Kevin Cirilli, and thanks for watching.